Good morning, family. It's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. Wanted to encourage you this morning to love one another and be a servant towards one another today. Consider others more highly than yourselves, and follow the example of some friends of ours, some abolitionist friends of ours who, whenever they show up somewhere, some of the first words out of their mouth is, how can we serve you? So have that mindset today as you go about your day. Don't wait, boys. Don't wait for your mother to have to tell you to do the things you're supposed to do. Just do them, get them done, and then go above and beyond that and ask, how can you be of further assistance? Look at your sister and the example she sets, the help that she gives mommy around the house. You would do well to follow in her example in that, young man. I want to encourage you also, children, to be diligent in your schoolwork today. I appreciate when you guys get a little frustrated and want to do a good job and feel like you've got so much schoolwork to do that it's a little overwhelming for you at times. But I just want to remind you that you're not sitting in classroom for 8 hours a day. And the way we do your homeschool, the way we conduct your lessons, they're arranged as such that if you struggle with something today, guess what? We can do it again tomorrow. And we can revisit it tomorrow. There's no child left behind here, so to speak. So just take your time, do the best you can, work hard, and seek to glorify God in everything you do today, whether it's with your mind, your thoughts, with your pencil, whatever you find to do today, do it with all your might unto the Lord, and work hard at it. Don't be lazy with your schoolwork. So that's my encouragement for you this morning. Kelly, I hope you're feeling a little bit better today. And so this morning we're looking at Psalm 30 together, and it has a very familiar verse in here. Weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes with the morning. And what you're going to see is that David was in agony, emotionally and spiritually in agony. He had foes that were plaguing him. Apparently, he had gone down. His soul had gone down to Sheol, down to the pit. He had weeping in the night. At one point, in verse 7, he feels that God hid his face from him, and he was dismayed. He was mourning. But then he says several times that he cried out to the Lord for help. Verse 2, O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. Verse 3, O Lord, you have brought up my soul from Sheol. You restored me to life from among those who go down to the pit. Verse 8, to you, O Lord, I cry, and to the Lord I plead for mercy. Verse 10, hear, O Lord, and be merciful to me. O Lord, be my helper. And in each instance of crying out to God for mercy, crying out to God for help, he gives us some encouragement, telling us that God, in fact, did restore him. In verse 2, you have healed me. Verse 3, you restored me to life from among those who go down to the pit. Verse 5, weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes with the morning. By your favor, O Lord, verse 7, by your favor, O Lord, you made my mountain stand strong. Verse 11, you have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have loosed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness. And so we see here what we know to be true, that he who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. You know, the Christian life is going to be one that, you know, if you're truly seeking after the Lord and you're trusting in the Lord with all your heart and leaning not on your own understanding, and he is the one directing your path, the Christian life will be one of trials and tribulations and heartache. But God, as we've learned in the book of Joshua, and we're going to see that even more this evening when we read chapter 23, we've learned that God does not leave his people in the dust. He does not leave his people in a perpetual state of mourning and brokenness. He does not leave you in the trial. He does not, you know, while it is true that Christians' lives are going to be marked with tribulation at times, as we can see here, joy comes with the morning, right? He turns our mourning into dancing. And you think of a time in your life when perhaps you can look back to that and say, well, that is true. I could think of many times. The most recent occurrences of that for me would probably be just when we had the girls with us. You know, that seemed to be one, you know, roller coaster ride of trials and tribulations throughout that 10 months, 11 months, or however long it was. And it was a period of trial mixed with a lot of joy. You know, our Heavenly Father, He does what is good for us. He gives us what we need and what is for our good, to the praise of His glory. And and our response, just like David's response here in this psalm, should be to give God thanks. If you look at verse 11, he says, in 12, he says, you have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have loosed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness, that my glory may sing your praise and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. He says his praise will not be silent. He will give thanks to the Lord forever. And really, thankfulness to God is key. Understanding that our Heavenly Father loves us, that all things are working together for our good, and we can trust Him. And when the enemy comes, you know, again, keep thinking back to Joshua and how nation after nation rose up and enemy after enemy. God put those enemies before Israel, did He not? Those weren't just some random enemies straggling in and stumbling upon Israel, and then, you know, there's this little conflict that takes place. God lined up these enemies for Israel to go to war with and to make war against. And, you know, that's what our trials are. They're not some random circumstances. Samuel, when you were frustrated and upset yesterday, and whatever it was that triggered you and became a little bit of a trial for you, that's not just some random event. You know, Maddie, when you start working and you have that conflict of some sort in the workplace, that's not going to be some random thing that's taking place. You know, when Kelly, when you're sick or you've got health issues and you're waiting for test results and that anxiety is present and you've got the fear of this unknown looming over you, those aren't random events. Those are trials and circumstances that we're brought into so that we can trust the Lord through them, so that we can call upon His name, so that we can realize that regardless of what's going on, whether it's actual physical enemies seeking to kill you or some anxiety or emotion that you have to deal with and wrestle with, we're brought into those so that we can learn from God that we can trust Him even through those things. You know, we learned yesterday that God sat enthroned over the flood. Whatever is going on in your life, God is still on the throne. He is still reigning. And we can look to Him and trust Him and call to Him, and He will deliver us. And our response should be one of thankfulness. It sounds weird, but as Christians, we can actually thank God for the trials. You know, as Christians, we should be able to thank God for the heartache. We should be able to thank God for the cancer. We should be able to thank God for the lost job or all of these things. These things are meant to refine us. They're meant to point us to our utter need for God. And we forget that, don't we? When things are spiraling out of control, don't we forget? We focus on the event, or we focus on the enemy, we focus on the sickness, and that tends to consume us instead of taking our eyes off that and looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. And so that's my encouragement for you today as you read through this psalm, is to remember that whatever comes your way, that all things are working together for your good. And we've talked about that quite a bit, how these things are meant to refine us. That's really one of the big lies of modern Christianity, is that, well, you can have your best life now, and when you become a Christian, everything just lines up for you perfectly. You're going to have a life full of ease and comfort because God wants what is best for you, and what's best for you is for you to just not have any conflict. What's best for you is for you to just have enough faith and you won't even get sick. Pray to God for money blessings, and He will bless you, and you will have wealth beyond imagination. And that's kind of what modern Christianity is. It's void of any kind of conflict. It's void of any warfare. It's void of any trials and tribulations. And so what that means is modern Christianity, for the most part, isn't even really Christianity. It's Niceanity. It's imaginations. It's, lusts of the fleshianity is what it is. It's not Christianity. Jesus was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Think about to the Garden of Eden, or the Garden of Gethsemane, rather, when Christ was there and He was waiting to be arrested, and He was in agony as He prayed. And who was He praying to? His Heavenly Father. And He says, if you can take this cup away from me, but not my will be done, your will. And so it's okay to pray to God and ask Him to take away that thing, just so long as we realize that it's His will be done, not ours. All right. I love you all very much. And I pray you have a blessed day. And God bless you all. I'll see you this evening. God willing. Bye bye.